up? My name's Samuel Leeds and I want to introduce you to a guy. He is a property millionaire, completely financially free. His name is Ben from Portsmouth, and he's going to share with you in this video exactly how he built up his wealth, how he became financially free, and I really think you're going to learn a lot of golden nuggets. So why don't you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and Ben, thank you so much for travelling down and coming to my house today.
No problem. Thanks so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, Samuel.
And we've now we've known each other for the past year, and when we met, you were already a property millionaire, and you were already making a couple £1,000s a month.
Yeah, but my goal was really to absolutely smash that and to go all out and push myself to the next level, which I think I've done. I've been in the academy since June, and I've added more properties to my portfolio. I've more than doubled my passive income in that time. So yeah, I'm really happy so far.
It's impressive because your portfolio has gone from, you've gone from a property millionaire to a property multi-millionaire.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just over, I think it's about 2.2 million at the moment. But
nice.
Obviously that goes up and down with flips and developments, things like that. As you know, you're kind of selling properties all the time and taking on new properties. So it's it does vary. But yeah.
And you've also your passive income was £2,000 a month. It's now gone up to about £5,000 a month.
Yeah, so I've got some service accommodation units which I've added in purely from my learning in the academy, really, and the crash courses. So they vary. In the summer, obviously, it's usually much more with tourists, but even in the winter, as I say, we're making between 4,000 and 5,000 at the moment.
Yeah. Well, what I want to ask you to start with, Ben, is what was it that made you, as already somebody that was a financially free property millionaire, and it sounds very impressive, but as you know, financially free, we go by the definition of when your passive income covers the average life. So you were financially free. You weren't rich, property millionaire. So again, sounds really impressive, but £1 million is a lot less today than it was 20 years ago. So what was it that, as someone that was already an experienced property investor, that drew you to come to the training? To why did you connect with me? Why did you come down to the crash course? What was it that made you do that?
Well, I actually saw the BBC documentary years ago with you when I was just starting out, and then I came across your training a few years later after I was in property. And at the time, I think I probably got a bit too comfortable. I was in my job, I was earning a good salary, my partner was earning, and we had time for buy-to-let. So we were kind of living the life. We bought our Range Rover, we had our nice house, but I was working kind of 8 hours a day at least every day. It's not the life I wanted. I have a very entrepreneurial mindset, and I really wanted to build something for myself, build my own legacy. And I just let myself get too comfortable. I stayed in that job far too long. And I think when I came across your training, it pushed me to explore other ways in which I could increase my passive income and really achieve my dream in a way.
Yeah.
So I was made redundant in the middle of the pandemic, kind of mid-2020, I think it was June or July 2020. And instead of going back to work, I'd already attended one of your crash courses, I think, online. So I decided I opened a company, and I raised investment, and I bought a BRR project. It was a bit slow at the time, and I didn't realise I should have been doing things to really increase my passive income to replace my salary.
Yeah. And
instead, I took on a slow burning refurbishment, which it did pay off. That house is now, I've got the house for free, the investment's back out. It earns me just under £1,200 a month in rent, and profits about £600.
Wow, and you managed to put all your money out then?
Yeah.
Plus £2,000?
Yes, an additional £2,000 for my time, which was
right, yeah. So it's all right getting paid for a house. Very interesting what you said though about, I talk a lot about fast pounds, slow pounds, cash flow and assets. Talk to me about the difference and the importance.
So that's really what the academy has taught me, is the need for fast pound and the difference. Before, I was a typical slow buy-to-let investor. I'd buy the odd property, I was working, I'd save, and I'd remortgage for deposits. Coming into the academy and learning from yourself, I've realised you can actually use other strategies such as service accommodation, deal selling, HMOs to really push your cash flow to the next level. So I turned one of my traditional buy-to-lets into a service accommodation house. It's a muse house, so it's nice and easy, kind of lock up and leave. We redecorated, refurnished it, and that went originally as a buy-to-let. It was earning £800 a month, and in the summer month it was just shy of £3,000.
Wow!
So
more than tripled.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. I mean, it does vary seasonally, as
yeah, of course,
know, but it's still doing better than a buy-to-let.
Fabulous.
Definitely.
Okay, so since joining the academy then, which was about 6 months ago now only, and I know you've been in the world, you've come to the crash courses and for about a year and a half, but since joining the academy, what exciting deals have you done? How have you managed to increase your portfolio so much? How have you managed to grow your cash flow so much? So talk to me about some of the deals you've done.
So the first one, I was already working on a refurbishment, so a buy, refurbish, refinance. I didn't really understand what it could be, and I think it was the crash course and then joining the academy and those first nuggets of training and information that pushed me to really raise the standard on that house and get all of the money back out. So that was the first one which I completed and is let out. That investment, we then purchased another house which is currently going through renovations. I also done a bit of deal selling, so I sold a BRR deal. I found it from a letting agent which I use off market, and I sold it through another estate agent / sourcer as an off market deal. So it's about to go through now.
And what was your finder's fee on it?
It's about £3,000. So
okay.
I'm splitting it with a co-sourcer because at the time I wasn't registered, I couldn't sell it myself.
Yeah.
So we split the profit, which is great. I mean, £1,500, that's a salary for some people.
Yeah. For literally doing nothing really, because you're out looking at properties for yourself anyway.
Exactly, yeah. And I've done a favour in this. If this investor didn't buy it, it's a lovely house, I would have bought it for myself.
Yeah.
So I've done that, but my main focus is refurbishments. I mean, I was working as an architect before, so I'm qualified in design. So my, I suppose, speciality is turning houses for quite a low cost into something really special. So the next deal I managed to do, I raised investor finance. I'm working with an amazing JV partner, Italia Moro. She's on the academy as well. So she's invested in this deal. Two of my friends, a couple, they've actually trusted me and invested some of their savings in the same deal, and I raised a bridging loan. So we purchased a house, 175,000, investor deposit, bridging loan for the rest of it. It cost about 6,000 in total to refurbish, so not a lot of money. And it's just agreed sale, subject to contract, off market at 240,000.
Wow! So you bought it for 175,
Yeah.
spent £6,000 on it,
Yeah,
used other people's money entirely,
exactly.
and then you're selling it for 240. That's a huge profit.
Yeah, so it will be just a bit under £50,000 profit in the end. After the obviously bridging fees are quite high,
Yeah.
you've got estate agent selling fees, things like that. So I think pre-tax profit, I reckon it'll be in the region of 45 at the end. Actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too far off my initial estimates anyway. And amazing, it took me, it was about 7 weeks worth of work in total, and 8 weeks exactly, kind of day to day from completion to sale.
And where is this property?
That's in Portsmouth.
So how did you manage, in this booming market, how did you manage to get such a good deal in Portsmouth on that property?
Well, I actually work with a local guy. He's a director of an estate agent and letting agent I use, and he set up his own sourcing business. So, of course, he knows everyone in property in the area, and he really does find some amazing deals. And I work with him quite regularly. We sold a deal together, and we kind of help each other out. So he found this deal for me. I pay him a sourcing fee, but I've made a fantastic profit on it.
Yeah, and I guess as well, I mean, I think that it's not just about what you know. It's really important to have a good network around you, connections, power team, success buddies. I mean, how important do you feel that has been in your journey to getting to what you've achieved today?
I mean, it's all about accountability, isn't it? I mean, without the kind of accountability of the other people on the academy that I've met, I mean, that's really pushed me, seeing other people's successes and being so happy for them, and then wanting to push myself harder, and also meeting JV partners and being inspired to raise finance. It's just beyond valuable. I think network is everything. As you say, network is your net worth.
Yeah, and it's true. So what was your job then previously to full-time in property?
So yeah, I'm a qualified architect. So I was working as an architect in Chichester just before I was made redundant.
Yeah.
And before that, I worked as a commercial architect for a few years in central London. And we actually, part of my journey was working in London in a week, and then every weekend driving down to Portsmouth and kind of refurbishing buy-to-let properties to try and build my portfolio. So I had quite a few years of working very hard to try and build up, and it doesn't come easy, as you'll know. And I actually do a lot of the work myself. I have done throughout the years. I'm kind of, I hope, fairly good at decorating and DIY, things like that. So I think part of my next challenge is going to be letting go of that and perhaps outsourcing more of the work, so I can grow my business to the next level. So yeah, I think that background of architecture has actually really helped me with that, and designing properties to a really high standard. Just choosing materials and colours and layouts and knowing how to get that right really benefited me.
What's your strongest reason for doing all of this then?
There's so many. I mean, I suppose originally I was probably a little bit materialistic, a bit money orientated, but it just changes beyond belief. Very recently actually, my grandmother, she's got quite severe dementia, and she, unfortunately, they decided, the adult social care, she couldn't stay in her home anymore. So she's gone to a home, and my parents, they're middle class, they're well off, but they're concerned, obviously, when her house runs out of money, that if the home is too expensive, the council won't cover the costs. So she's gone into a home which they will be able to afford. But I visited it, and the staff are amazing. They're obviously very, very caring, lovely people. But the standard of the home that will be council subsidised, it's not what I want for her. This is an amazing woman who's looked after me as a child and taken care of me my whole life, with my parents as well. But she deserves the best, and I would like to be in a position where I could fund her to have the best possible dementia care available, because I think she deserves it, and that's something I'd like to do within the next. Homes, they cost a minimum of about £1,000 a week. It's a huge amount of money for most people. So realistically, within the next year or so, it's something I'd love to be able to help out with if I can.
Yeah.
And then there's other things. So I support charities, so I'm very passionate about equal rights, things like that. So I'd love to be able to kind of provide houses for refugees, people coming from countries where they don't have the same rights that we do. That would be something I'd love to do in future.
Yeah.
Obviously supporting my family. My partner is actually, it's British Thai, so we've got a nephew out in Thailand, so we pay for international schooling for him, which is really nice. There's so many things.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Money, it's not just about buying material things. Money gives you choices in life. It brings freedom. It means you can do things like, provide your grandma with the best care, look after your family, support the charities that you want to do.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a real honour. It's very fulfilling to be able to help people make more money, like yourself, that have got good hearts and actually want to help people.
Yeah.
What was it that, out of all because you've been in property for many years now, I think you bought your first property, was it 2010?
2011, I think it was, something like that. Yeah.
So you've been in property for many years, not massively dissimilar from when I bought my first property in 2009. So you've been in property for almost the amount of time I've been in property. You built up quite a successful portfolio. What was it that made you choose my training over all the other trainings that you could? Why did you choose my training?
I think it's your energy and your passion. You can really see that, and I've been to your events and you don't get bored. Other training events, with all due respect to them, I've sat there and I've felt a little bit tired and a little bit bored when I've just gone to their introductory events. And I think with your training, it's full of energy. The networking is brilliant. I just really enjoy it. The whole atmosphere is brilliant. It just pushes you to the next level.
And what's your experience been like on the academy? I know you're halfway through now, the year.
Yeah.
What's the experience been so far?
Well, I think, as I say, it's the people and the network which is everything. And I think having those people and the friends that I've made, and now the academy networking calls, it just really helps you to grow, and you hold each other accountable. And as well as obviously the training and the information you get from that.
So what's the next steps then for you, Ben? What are you hoping to achieve over the next sort of 6-12 months?
Okay, so my goal by the end of 22 is to be a cash millionaire, so equity in cash.
Yeah.
So I'm not too far off, but I'd really like to push myself to get there. I want to increase my cash flow, so once I finish the deals I'm doing now, I'm considering investing in maybe some high-end HMOs, pod-style HMO or on suites, things like that. So very, very, very nice standards. And I've also got the idea of investing perhaps overseas. So in Thailand, SA in Thailand would be absolutely amazing. Maybe start off with some kind of smaller villas and build up from there.
And you just got back from Thailand. How long were you in Thailand?
Just over 2 weeks this time.
Okay, great. Yeah. So what would you say to someone starting out in property that's maybe where you were a couple of years ago, or even 10 years ago when you first started? I know you've made a lot of mistakes in the early days. You did some, or not even mistakes, but you did a lot of deals where you didn't make as much money as you could have made, knowing what you know now. What advice would you give to your 10-year younger self?
Education first. There's a lot I learned from actually pursuing education, which I didn't know. So I read a few books and I went into property, but I was probably quite naive. I took out equity, I bought a buy-to-let and probably thought it would make me a millionaire overnight. You know, I mean, you kind of have this idea of landlords in your head. But there's so many other ways you can get into property. You don't need a huge amount of money these days. You can do rent to rent. I mean, I've just myself taken on a corporate let as an SA, just almost as an experiment to try to improve my cash flow, and that's already going well. So that's something I might pursue myself, even though I've got my own properties. Taking on corporate lets in the future to build cash flow is a really strong idea, a really good business plan.
Yeah.
But I think, don't be scared, just dive in. Obviously, you don't achieve anything without taking action. I know people who said, oh, well, I want to get through all the training first, and then finish every single bit of training, and then I'll invest. Or I just want to learn a bit more. I want to save a little bit more, and it's that you can take action now. I've made mistakes. In a way, I've kind of gone too slowly in parts. I think I should have pushed myself harder in some ways. As you said, I've been in property a similar time to you, but I had quite a break from buying my first house in 2011. As you said, I then went back to university, finished my masters, my professional qualifications, and worked for a few years before I actually bought my first buy-to-let. But I think having a job and getting a mortgage is still a really good way to get into it. You talked recently in the latest financial freedom movie about house hacking, which is a fantastic idea. I think a lot of people, they don't make compromises. When I bought my first house, I moved from Zone 2 in central London right out to the edge of London to Zone 6, commuted in kind of 40 minutes on the train. I bought a house which had been empty for 6 years, needed refurbishment. Tied it up, and because of that we were able to build equity and then later release that and put that into property. And I think it's all about making compromise. If you want to live kind of in the best area, in a house which doesn't need any work and own it immediately, you're not necessarily going to make any money.
Yeah.
You need to be willing to work hard and compromise.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've got into rent to rents, because a lot of people might think that rent to rents is for people that are just starting out only. but you've got quite a big portfolio. I think you've got about 8 properties right now that you own. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've got 8 I own, and this corporate let I've just taken on.
Which is amazing. But what was it that made you get into insurance, and how's the experience been so far? Is it being harder than you thought? Is it easier than you thought?
This one was fairly easy. I mean, I used a letting agent, which I already knew. I found a property I liked, and because they trusted me, I already had that relationship. They spoke to the landlord and helped me arrange that property. And at first I thought, oh, I've kind of cheated a bit like that. I haven't called up a landlord from Open Rent and done it that way. But actually, why? Do it the easy way. If you've got that contact, if you know someone, if you've built relationships, use them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And what kind of cash flow are you expecting? I know you need to look at it as a year by year, because every month will vary a little bit of rent to rent. But what kind of profit are you expected to make in per month off that one rent to rent?
I would imagine in the summer, probably at least between 1,500 and 2,000 a month. And it's in a very good area, in a lovely, it's like in a shopping development in Portsmouth near the harbour.
But that's huge. I mean, if that's making 1,500 to 2,000, how many buy-to-lets would you need to own to do that?
Probably about 3, yeah.
At least. I mean, an average buy-to-let, the average rent in the UK is $750. Take away your mortgage, your maintenance, your management, but that one rent to rent, is it cash flow positive already? I know you've just got it.
Yes, it is. It is.
That's incredible. That must be a good feeling.
Yeah, it's going to make about 500-600 a month. I think January, it's got actually someone's taking it for the whole month of January, which is great because January is a slow month.
Yeah.
So the cost of the apartment, it's a studio, is $650, and they're paying I think it's $1,200 for January. So.
Incredible. Well, you've done super well. So you're in property full time, you're financially free, you've doubled your portfolio, you're doing no money down deals. Yeah. What will be your final piece of advice or piece of wisdom that you would share to anyone watching this to sort of wrap up the interview?
I think just don't be scared. I think if you've been held back in the past, for example, I've had people. I don't know, I've been quite badly bullied in the past, I've been through a lot, and instead of being nervous, I actually take that and use it as motivation for the future, and it really helps me push myself forward. I think just go for it, don't be too scared, I think just jump in.
Well, mad respect then to what you've achieved. It's a real pleasure to know you. I'm looking forward to our party next week.
Definitely.
And thanks so much for coming on the show and for giving back and inspiring other people.
No, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. I mean, thanks for everything you've done for me with the training and everything. Yeah.
It's a real pleasure. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that inspiring. I hope you got a load of nuggets. Why don't you go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to come down to the Property Investors Crash Course that Ben was talking about, then I have got good news for you. I've got some free tickets that I'm giving away. There is limited spaces, so I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can claim your free tickets to come down and meet me at the Property Investors Crash Course. Get booked on, and I'll see you guys next time. God bless.